This is the Camolo Trail Cam, with a 27 megapixel camera that can record 1296p Super HD video, runs off 8 AA batteries, and has a manufacturer-stated 6-month standby time. This unit was sent to me for this review. I'm not an avid deer hunter, but I do have a use for this trail cam. I've had some sort of wildlife digging up the front of the house, and I wanted to find out, was it raccoons, skunks, crows, or perhaps a human? But before I get into the testing and show you sample footage, I just want to ask you to please hit the like and subscribe buttons to this channel. I want to ask you now, before you forget or get interrupted by the boss, kids, whatever, please hit those like and subscribe buttons now. Thanks. Okay, so let's first take a look at what you get when you order one of these robot spy boxes. Okay, this is the Camolo digital trail camera, and of course it was intended for hunters, owing to the deer and the hunting reticle. So it's intended to be placed on trails where you intend to hunt so that you can see what kind of game frequents those areas. But you could have other purposes for it. Security, if you want to see who's entering your property when you're not there, etc. So actually we're going to be using it to see what kind of animals are digging around in my front garden. So we will open it up and see what we get inside here. Once you take that sleeve off, and inside we find the camera itself in non-static sleeve. The camera itself looks pretty nice and it feels well made. I don't see any major defects on the outside. Now note the camera, I believe this is the main camera, and I believe these are either IR cameras or IR emitters or sensors. They have this sort of plastic protective film on the front, so you want to take those off because they will impair the performance of this camera. So let me do that. So these ones are a little harder to get off. Little plastic film on the front of these, which I believe are other sensors or emitters. Okay, so we've done that. What we'll need to do next is put in batteries. Oh, let's see what's underneath here. It looks like a DC power, external power input port, which is conveniently waterproofed with a waterproof cover here. Now this is supposed to be IP67 rated, which means that it's IP7 waterproof rated. It does feel rather rugged. There is an O-ring underneath this access port. We'll need to put some batteries in before we can turn any of this stuff on, but this is your control buttons on and off the setup. Okay. Oh, but you do need to open up this main panel to open up the battery release, which is this button here. And this kind of sticks. Oh, there we go. Alright, so it is powered by 8 AA batteries, which need to be put in here, which I will do next. And yeah, you need to do that to keep it waterproof. So there is an AV external port. There is a a mini USB port here, and that is the DC port that we saw earlier. That's accessible through that this little tab cover. Okay, so let me get some batteries for that. But let's see what else we get in the box here. Oh, comes with a 32 gigabyte memory card. That's nice. This is the remote. And it's a wristband remote, so you can turn the unit on and off with this. Interesting. Doesn't appear to have. Let's see, what does this port for? Oh, we'll need a micro USB to charge this up, so I'll do that next. Now we have our instruction manual in English. We have a mini USB cable to charge it up with. We have a mounting plate. That's if you want to mount it screw this onto a tree. And it has an articulating arm and the screws to go with this mounting plate. So you would put this mounting plate on a tree or a pole or a post, and then you'd screw on this articulating arm, and then you'd screw the articulating arm, the camera, to the articulating arm. It's got a standard quarter, it looks like a 1/4 inch, and it has a mounting strap, which you would run across here to mount it around a tree or whatever you want to mount it on. Alright, so I think that's it inside. Alright, so I found some batteries. I'm going to open this up again. Okay, now I'm going to put in nickel cadmium, nickel metal hydride batteries here, which tend to be slightly thicker in terms of its diameter. So if it doesn't quite fit, I'll try the alkalins. But I wanted to put in the nickel metal hydride just to see if these rechargeable batteries will fit. In general, I would recommend alkaline for long-term storage. But for these testing, I will use my rechargeable batteries. Alright. Yes! And we can actually see. Okay, let's put the SD card in there. Okay, it just turned off. Okay, I'll put it on setup mode. Switch through the different modes. Date and timestamp. You can format the card, so we'll do that. It's always good to format the card. Okay, so following the printed instructions, and you should always read your instruction manual, I downloaded the Hunting Cam Pro app onto my phone and activated the Trail Cam's built-in Wi-Fi network and logged in. And you should always update the default password, obviously. And I was able to easily get onto the Trail Cam. And while there is a few seconds of lag, you can see here me taking video of this cam. Now, being able to see what the camera is seeing is super helpful in setting up your camera properly, so you know you have a good view of what it is you want to observe. I set up the camera very low to the ground in the bushes in the front of my house. The camouflage pattern on the camera case helped conceal it, which is useful in an urban setting like San Francisco, which is prone to petty crime and package theft. Here we see actual images from the camera over the course of 12 hours from mid-morning into the evening. Now you can see a lot of detail in these daylight photos. I was actually very impressed with the quality of the images. One thing you don't see in these series of photos is the sheer number of photos that the camera actually did take. I'm only pulling about 1 out of every 5 or 6 images it took, because honestly there wasn't much to see in a lot of the photos it took. I believe the camera must have been triggered by maybe movement in the leaves in front of it. You will see some animals like this dog that comes up. I also was surprised at how often it would be triggered by things that I would consider fairly far away for a trail cam, like a car or people walking across the street as far as 60 feet away. And it can also take full motion video. You can select to have the camera take anywhere between 5 and 180 seconds of footage every time the camera is triggered. Here's an example. Here's a 5-second video snippet that was triggered by this parking car. Now, here are some night photos. I'm going to slow it down. You can see somebody walking by, triggering the camera. The bright areas in the foreground are leaves reflecting back the bright infrared flash from the camera. The camera has built-in infrared illuminators for night mode. Now, one thing I hadn't touched on until now is the remote trigger. It's a Bluetooth trigger that kind of looks like this green wristwatch you see here. It has an on and off button and allows you to when you press the on button, the camera will start taking footage of whatever is in front of it. I suppose you could force it to take video and photos when something isn't triggering it. Why that is useful, I don't know. If you happen to know, please let me know in the comments. Now, I had this unit outdoors, and it was fully functional the entire week that I was testing it out. But one thing I just can't cover in my evaluation is the extremes in temperature that these units can go through in different parts of the country, different parts of the year. I couldn't test it on freezing temperatures outdoors, snow, ice, nor could I test it in like desert heat. The unit did survive a week's worth of San Francisco fog and drizzle without fogging up itself, so that counts for something. So, did I ever find out what was digging up my plants? Sadly, no. The entire week the camera was out there and taking photos, I didn't see anything unusual, so whatever it was camera shy. Despite that, I was still quite pleased by how well this trail camera performed. And if you are too and you're interested in picking one up, they run about $80 on Amazon. I've included a link in the video description. Speaking of which, this is from the actual product page on Amazon. The precious gift for the Momen. I assume that's a typo, but perhaps they're coining a new gender identity. And in the caption for the tiger photo, this is either the phonetic spelling in an Irish or an American Southern dialect. Normally, this lack of attention to detail would make me think twice about ordering this product, but thankfully I got a chance to actually test it, and it worked quite well. Anyway, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Moondog, out. Hey, if you like this video, please share it on social media. You know, Facebook, forums, MeWe, whatever platform you're on. And if you want to see more videos, check out moondogindustries.com.